Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to start with prayer. So thank you, Christina, for your leadership in starting us with prayer last week. Father, thank you so much for this time. And Lord, thank you for Plexus and for putting it in our lives and in our hands. And I pray that we would be faithful stewards of what you've given us. God, I thank you for everybody on this call and everybody that's watching this recording. Father, I pray that we would be equipped to, again, be a faithful steward and trust you for the increase. God, speak through me and speak to everybody what they need to hear. And we thank you in advance for what you're doing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'm going to mute everybody for this. Well, I guess Christina can mute everybody because I'm not a host. So
unmute yourself, Michelle.
Okay, better. Hi. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of training and then we're going to open it up for coaching. And the first thing I want you to know is number one, our business is very simple. This is a very simple business. It is not an easy business, but it is very simple. And in this stage in your business, it's very easy to think there's so much that I really need to be doing. And I want you to keep it so simple because that is what's going to enable you not only to move forward, but it's going to enable you to duplicate and have people come to you and move forward much more easily and much more quickly. We've got to keep things simple. And here's the essence of your business and be able to move forward. Number one, talking to new people about Plexus. Number two, following up with people about Plexus. And number three, teach others to do the same. And if you do those three things consistently, you're going to move forward in your business. Okay. Number two, what I tell my team all the time is your job description is to love and serve people well. That is what you get to do. You know what? Some of us are on this rockstar recruiting class with a multiple seven-figure earner. And you know what she said that every day she goes in to do? She says every live. What's going on? Am I live? Was I frozen?
Yeah, you were frozen. You said every day, you know what she does every day, and then you froze.
Perfect. Okay, every day. So this must be good. So pay attention. Every day, you are a professional friend maker. You are not out just to add a sale or to get something from somebody. Your job is to love and serve people well. Go and make friends. Go and connect people. Because in this day and age, people want to be in business with and link arms with people that they like, know, and trust. And how will they like, know, and trust you? Just you being you. Go love and serve people well. You know what? It's really easy. It comes down to this. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Oh, thank you, Jesus. That's a great idea. Go treat people the way you want to be treated. Okay. Now, number three, what I want to tell you is this. You can absolutely 100% trust the process if you are taking the right actions. So let's talk about the actions that you're needing to take. Now, what I didn't say is if your feelings are in line, or if I feel confident, or if I'm not nervous, okay? Your feelings have nothing to do with this. I was reflecting how when I got started, and for the first 7 years of my business, I just did it afraid, and I was terrified what people were going to think. And guess what? Sometimes I still get a pit in my stomach, and I still get sweaty armpits, but I do it anyway. The farmer, and Brittany's used this analogy a million times. The farmer doesn't sit there and think, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what's going on? The farmer takes seed, he cultivates the ground, he plows the ground, he takes his seed. He doesn't work. He may have a fear that, oh, storm comes. You know, Georgia's crop of peaches was destroyed this summer. You know, that can happen. But he still planted the seed. He still cultivated. He still watered. He still did everything. And then he trusts God with the results. But here's the thing. You're never going to get a result unless you take the action, unless you do the right things to get the harvest, to get the results. So what are those right things? Okay. Number one, Like I said before, talking to new people about Plexus. Okay, now let's take a break here. There are certain things that we do on a everyday or weekly basis. Okay, and we're going to talk about those things. But here's what I want you to know. Sometimes you can how you like to work the best. And just to keep it simple, maybe it's just every day do these few things. Talk to new people about Plexus. Talk to new people about Plexus. There is no way that you have talked to everybody you know about these products. Okay. So have a list. Figure out where's your list coming from. Is it from your Facebook friends? Is it from church? The back office, the virtual office, has a great document called 64 Leads You Didn't Know You Had. And basically is just a prompt for where are these people that you're going to talk to. Your kids' school, dance, soccer, your church, your Bible study, the doctor's offices. And it basically goes through and gives you ideas of where are these people you are going to talk to. Okay. You got to have a list. Talking to new people about Plexus, and every day or say, me personally, I like to do all my new reach outs in like 2 days because I get in a groove and then I can follow up. So you get to decide how you want to do it. For years, I did every day 3 new reach outs. Okay. So either a daily or a weekly time frame. But if you're wanting to grow, I would recommend at minimum 3 new reach outs a day, which means about 15 to 18 new reach outs a week. Okay. Because you always want to keep your pipeline full. Otherwise, if you're not reaching out to new people, you're going to run out of people to talk to. Ask me how I know. It's happened to me 1 or 2 or 12 or 24 times. Okay. New people every single day. Okay. And then what else do? We follow up with people about Plexus. Guess what? Nobody has to tell farmer that he needs to water his plants. He just gets it. The seed needs water. The seed needs sun. You need to take care of that. And that's exactly what you're doing when you're following up with people about Plexus. It is normal for it to take 8 to 12 exposures before someone makes a purchasing decision. I'm getting all hot. I got to get off my sweater. It's normal. So that means it is normal for you to be professional and follow up. Notice I did not say to be pushy and follow up. I said to be professional and follow up. What that means is when you're following up with people, you actually really care about them and you believe in what you're offering them as a gift. Okay. All about this, you have to keep in mind your perspective. Remember, mindset is the bedrock of what we're doing. And when we remember that what we have is a gift and we are offering it to people, like you keep in mind a way to love and serve people well is you are thinking about this person. What could these products do for them? And what could this business opportunity do for them? It's not what can I get? It's how does what I have benefit this person? And when you do that, guess what? You can't wait to follow up because you know that what you have is a gift and their life is going to improve because of it. And then you can trust God with the result that on their timing, they will make the right decision that for them and their family. But understanding that you are serving them because what you have is a gift and can help them, it enables you to follow up with confidence and professionalism. Okay. Christina did an outstanding video, I don't know, a month ago, within the last 2 months. Go get it. It's on her YouTube. Watch that video about different ways to follow up because you're all there. It's just a skill to be learned. You can do that. Okay. So talking to new people about Plexus, following up with people about Plexus, and teaching others to do the same. Your people that are on your team, the fastest way to get to where you want to go is to have other people doing it with you. And it really is that simple. Do you see how I just described it to you? It really is that simple. And you can describe it to others. You are helping them do the very same thing that you've done. Okay. Talk to people about Plexus, new people, following up with people about Plexus, teaching others to do the same. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, daily activities, is your some of you are brand new and you're still talking to people in conversations and in your warm market. Others of you have been in here like me a hot minute. And so you're more in your cold market. What I want to say is about your social media is your storefront. So how can you be, I think the word, like we talk about adding value, we talk about, all these things on your social media. What I want to say is, what can you post on your social media that's going to help somebody, that's going to bless somebody, that's going to make them say, you know what, I really like her and I want to follow her. Let me give you some simple ideas. Because you don't want to have your social media is your storefront. You don't want your social media to look like a sales, like an advertisement for Plexus, because here's the deal. You are who they are joining. They're not joining Plexus worldwide. They're joining you, and you want to give them a reason to join you. So here are some ideas of ways that you can help people, bless people, AKA add value on your social media. Number one, like for me, what do? I really love food. So I post recipes. Every time April posts a recipe, I'm like, yeah, please send it to me. That really helps me. You just helped me. I like to make people, I'm learning this about myself, especially in my stories. I post funny Christian memes or funny 80s memes, because when I see something like that, it makes me laugh, and that adds so much value to my life, because I'm not, feel tightly wound and I need someone to help me relax and laugh, right? Okay, here's another way you can add value. Just encouraging people, sharing something you've learned, being real and authentic. Doing something on your social media, and this may require a little bit of thought, but guess what? It's worth it. To encourage people that, listen, I'm a real person and I can help you. I'm not talking about you have to go and do like a big, huge social media overhaul. But what I am talking about is giving people a reason to trust you and like you and join you. And every one of you has a reason to do that. Every one of you has something to add to somebody. Whether it's a quote from a book that you read, or a recipe, or, some of you are gardening people. More power to you. Write how you do that. I mean, God bless you. Whatever. Christina talks about weightlifting and macros, books that you've read, a parenting tip, or ask a question. Give them a reason to come back to your wall. Give them a reason to come back to you, because think of it as a bank account. You want to add to people's bank account, not just withdraw. You want to be an adder, not just a subtractor. Okay. Now we know that our products, we're adding value to people by what we're offering, but to go the extra, we want to add even more value on top of that. So let me just recap. And this is very simple. If you are doing these things on a daily and weekly basis, you can trust the process. Number one, talking to new people about Plexus. Okay. Average of 3 a day. Because listen, it's normal for 1 out of 10 people to respond to you. So if you're only reaching out to 3 new people a week, guess what? It's going to take you 3 weeks to have somebody, actually, it's going to take you more than 3 weeks to get somebody to respond back to you. I'm not okay with that. Let that sink in. If you're only reaching out to 3 new people a week, on average, it's going to take you 3.5 weeks for somebody to say, yes, I'm open. That's why we say 3 a day, or 15 to 18 a week. Reaching out to new people. Okay. Number 2, following up with people. Okay. I would say talk to your sponsor about your numbers, because everybody's going to have a different threshold of your response rate. For some people, you could reach, follow up with 5 people. Others, you need to do more. Talk to your sponsor about that to get the rates that you need for effectiveness. We're not just interested in checking boxes. We're interested in effectiveness. And watch Christina's video to get ideas of how to follow up. Okay. Number 3, helping your team do the same, making sure they're in the right activity. 4, value on your wall. Blessing people. And then remember, the bedrock is belief. So this is probably the number one thing I want to say to you, or the most important thing, which is, of course, at the end. The people with the strongest belief have the most successful businesses. So, my friend, what are you doing to build your belief every day? And it can be as simple as this. Read a testimony about the products before you send out messages. Get into the product page of your choice, Gut Health and Happiness. Those of you on my team, we have Why Plexus Living Free. Read a product testimony before you sit down to send out messages. And then get into Dare to Dream and read a business story. Those two things, if you build your belief before you send out messages, they're going to feel that, and you are too. And it will help get your mindset in the framework of, goodness gracious, what I'm doing is a gift. This is such a gift. These people's lives are going to be transformed. God is bringing the right people to me. And what I have is an answer to people's biggest needs outside of Jesus. But you got to build your belief. We tell people to take their X Factor Plus of their gut health, right? For their bodies. Take care of your mind every single day. Build your belief. And that'll take you all of 5 minutes. Read a product testimony, read a business testimony, and then do your IPA and see if things change. So I went really quickly, but those are the things that you do, the right actions every single day to move forward. It's not complicated. You can do this 100%. You can do this. And you can even do it afraid. Because I have, and I'm a sapphire. So it's worked out pretty well for me. All righty, that's what I've got. For the right actions in your belief, let's open it up for coaching. Who has a question? Oh, I will say one more thing. I would track these things down because you know what? I'll just give you a little, when I started, you know what our IPA chat looked like? We had to say we had reached out to 3 new people and followed up with 3 people or 5 people. We had accountability, but that got me in the habit. We don't do that today, but you can write them down. And I did not go to sleep until I reached out to 3 new people and followed up with 5 new people. Again, talk to your sponsors about your number, but write them down. You can look in Freedom Team or our page for IPA trackers. It will help you just stay on track and moving forward. Okay, that is all I have.
I have a question.
Let's go.
Robin. I have been trying to get this lunch date with this friend here in town. I call her friend. I've been talking to her for a while. Finally, I got it, and it's happening in about 30 minutes. All of a sudden, I'm like, feel this fear, like starting to well up, like, because I have met with people in the past. And I've seen my mind shift over the last almost year, just completely change from feeling salesy to, wanting to serve other people. So my thing is, help me understand how to keep it simple and not be overbearing when I first have these lunch dates with somebody I don't really know that well yet.
You said a lunch date?
Yeah.
Lunch date. Okay. I couldn't understand. I thought you said lunch. Okay. So a lunch date.
Yeah, lunch date.
That is a great question and relatable. So here is what I would do. It is so much less about you and all about her. And you make it about her by asking questions and connecting with her. Remember, your description is to be a professional friend maker. And you are there to ask questions, to draw her out, to figure out how what you have is the answer to what her needs are. So your job, you're not going in there trying to convince her to buy Plexus. That is not what you're doing. You're going in there to get to know her, to love, to hear about her. And then you're thinking, how does what I have, what is the connection here? So I would just ask her questions about, what do you do? What is her understanding? Have you talked about Plexus with her before? What is her understanding coming into this lunch?
No, but she's seen my stories. She knows what I do. And that's kind of why I'm excited, because I know that she knows that I'm doing Plexus. Okay. I mean, I think I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So in that case, I don't think I even mentioned the word Plexus, and agreed with what Christina says. You should only be talking 1/3 of the time. My dad used to say this to me, and I needed him to say this to me. He's like, Michelle, there is a reason why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Amen. I'm learning that.
You're there just to get to know her. There is the Frank's questions. We read a book about Frank's questions. Someone's going to help me and put this in the comments. You're going to ask her about her family. You're going to ask her about what she does professionally. You're going to ask her what she enjoys. You're going to ask her, what she wants to be about. You're going to ask her about what her hobbies are. You're going to ask all sorts of questions about her. Yes, it was from Ninja Selling, the Frank's questions. You're going to ask her all sorts of questions just to get to know her and love her. And you do not go in with an agenda to sell products or to get a business builder. You're going in with an agenda to love her and become her friend.
Thank you
and
so much.
To eliminate the fear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Who else has a question?
Michelle, I have one. Last week I messaged right at, I think, 14 last I counted them up last night. So just within the 7 days, it was 14 people total. Out of that 14, 2 of them were men, the other 12 were women. But out of that 12, I literally had 7 people that rejected or really shot down the opportunity to the products almost immediately, solely on the fact because they're on the weight loss shot, they're on Mounjaro, they're on Wegovy, they're on Ozempic. I struggle with how to overcome that object, and I don't know really why I have problems overcoming that object or objective or talking to them, because I myself on Mounjaro, the scale didn't move and I yo-yoed back and forth, and I didn't see a major jump in my own story until I started Plexus. So I have that, but I'm still, it's almost like I draw blanks, and I don't know whether, I feel like there's a fine line of getting them off of something that their doctor prescribed them to take versus coming from me brand new in this, that is that's not a doctor that's selling supplements, and I'm new in the game. So I'm still building belief and I'm giving them my testimony. But on the outside of that, I don't know how to go about it maybe a different way. What are options?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so first of all, Sheena, it's completely normal that 7 of them. It is completely 100% normal. And guess what? Just today, I went in, I was so excited about this woman. I'm like, oh, she's going to be great. She's going to be a great dream teamer. I go to message her. She blocked me. Okay. Totally. This is normal. It is normal for it to take 8 to 12 exposures before somebody makes a purchasing decision, especially if they're doing, their doctor told them to do something. So number one, just remember, it's normal. There's a process, which is, again, why we want to be reaching to new people every day, to give you more people to talk to. And then we have a timeline, and we understand it's going to take 8 to 12 exposures before they make a decision. Now, not always, some will come in sooner than that, but on average, that's what you're looking at. Okay. So just understand, Sheena, it is not your job to convince them about anything. So take that pressure off of yourself. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to have credentials. You're going to engage in the follow-up process, and just know that at the right time, the right people will make the same decision that you did. So it's just a matter of engaging in that process. So, and there's a variety of ways to do that. Christina's video on follow-up is fantastic, because what she really showed in that video is, when you're following up with somebody, it is always to bring new information to the table. And a great way to do that is to show stories. Like, you can show your results. You can invite people to an event, show them an article you saw. There's lots of different ways to follow up with people over time. And that's what it's going to be over time, depending on how quickly they're engaging back with you. But just know it's completely normal for them to do that. Secondly, they just don't know what you know. Especially when it comes to weight, so many people say, oh, this is going to be weight. This is what I want. And they don't understand that weight can be a gut issue, blood sugar balance. They're really just wanting a quick fix to pounds, and there is no such thing. So it's going to be a process of educating them through stories and testimonies and events that you can use.
And that's refreshing or reassuring to hear too, like that I'm doing right with the testimony part of this is why I started. So I know that's helping, and I understand the reach out process and the 8 to 12, and I know that's the normal. So I was just making sure that there wasn't maybe another creative way that I could say, or if it is just being on the right path of giving my own testimony and that's just the way it is, and waiting in their time to God to work in their life and them to educate themselves for them to make that decision, then that's great. But I just wanted to make sure there wasn't another option that I could use towards that as well.
I mean, if they're engaging with you, I would also ask them more questions, because generally speaking, they have other health issues just besides weight. You know, they're going to have high blood pressure. They've got asthma. They've got acid reflux. And they're not even thinking about that, because most people think that that's just normal life. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people, they're like, yeah, I want to lose weight. And then I get them on the phone. I find out they're on anti-anxiety meds. They're on acid reflux medicine and allergy meds, but that's just normal. So asking them more questions, like, well, let me ask you this. Are you on any, meds for anything over the counter or prescription? So taking the conversation away from weight to get it to overall health. And even questions like, well, so you're on, I'm so glad you're on these shots that you're, are you seeing results from them? Are you feeling your best every day? I can guarantee you they're not going to be saying, yes, I feel my best every day. And you can say, oh, well, that's really interesting. And asking questions to draw them out, because here's the thing, Sheena, you're not just trying to sell them. Your goal is to help them reach their potential and feel their best every day. So by asking them more questions, getting more information, then you can come back with and say, oh, that's really interesting. And then you can go and search plexus and acid reflux, plexus and high blood pressure and weight. I just saw this testimony of this girl who's just like you, and she wanted to lose weight and had high blood pressure. I thought you'd find her story relatable. I
love the gut health and wellness page, because you can hit the search and you can type it in. And I've had people right now, I'm dealing with 2 different people they've got horrible digestive issues after being one's 3 years and one's 5 years out of gallbladder removal surgery, and they are miserable. So I just went in there, and I don't have those type of problems. I've never lived that life. So educating myself has opened my eyes. And as soon as I learn something, I share it, and then it's them learning something. So I understand that process, but that's such a great resource.
It really is. And the more questions asking them the more questions and really caring for them along the process is, like Locke said in comments, really will set you apart. Because I can guarantee you those people that are on the shots and doing all those other things, they've got other health issues. They just don't know that it's all connected to gut health, blood sugar balance, and inflammation. And you can take that information and educate them, and then take them along the process and the journey with you for events or, challenges or testimonies. And Christina does outline several different ways to follow up with people. All those things that I just mentioned.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, absolutely.
Who else has a question? I feel like I need to play the Jeopardy music.
Michelle,
I have a question.
Oh, Emily, you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I'm in the Rockstar Recruiting class 2, and I've been here for a long time, and I've been doing the 4 things that you mentioned, Michelle, for, the duration of, I'm almost up to 3 years. So trying to incorporate all of these other, especially like the social media topics that Melanie is talking about, and tracking and all of that. Those things I have not been doing regularly, which I know I need to be, and it's a gap for me. But like figuring out how to incorporate all of that and pick from there what is the most important and to implement it into my daily routine. Like, what would you suggest for prioritizing that?
I feel you to my core, Emily, because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to implement. What's the most important thing on a daily basis? So just know that that's normal because we're drinking kind of from a fire hydrant. So tell me, like, I would lesson one, quite frankly, and that you're in the habits of talking to new people about Plexus, following up with Plexus, the pipeline, and the tracking with the pipeline, and start there. And what I would do is, quite frankly, I got her little time blocking calendar, and I have been writing in when I'm going to do all those little things, like making sure you cannot, there's no way you can possibly implement everything at once. So you tell me, what do you think is the most important thing for you to do? Where do you see the biggest gap?
I mean, I guess I wasn't really doing much to convert my cold market to warm market in terms of social media engagement and like tracking that. So I was adding my new friends, and then I would reach out to them like with an introduction and maybe go and like or comment a couple things on their wall if there was anything. I mean, sometimes there's slim pickings there too. And then just start my follow-up system from there. But they're really like, I know some people said that they were like Brittany, I think, mentioned she waits for engagement from somebody. Like if somebody's in her stories and commenting or doing things on there. Now, Brittany and I are in very different positions. So, it's just different that way. But yeah, trying to figure out like, okay, do I sit and wait for this person to respond to me or to interact, and then so I feel like that's my biggest, like that's what I'm focusing on right now, what I'm trying to figure out. And then like that's my biggest gap is converting from cold to warm.
Okay. So because I'm not familiar with your business. So are you recruiting on a regular basis?
The last couple months, I would say the last 6 months have been the most regular, between 2 and 3 recruits every month. Right. That my business has seen.
Congratulations. That's awesome, Emily. And do you know why you've had that improvement and that consistency?
I think a big part of it has been my social media presence, because I've really worked on that to increase that, and just being way more intentional with what I'm doing in my conversations. So not just, copy paste, follow the system, but like when Christina pointed out to us about the leaky roof and not always like doing a follow-up, but not always adding new information, that was completely new to me. So that I felt like made a really big difference too.
Good. Okay. Well, for me too, it made a huge difference for me too. So then keep going with that. So you've identified the gap. And I think I really want to just applaud for taking the time to analyze and see, like, you've identified the gap of the cold market, that is number one priority. Look at that precious bundle. So I would focus there and just build in that time, because, and for those of you that are not in the class, what she's talking about is, because some of us have been in this business for a while, there's a cold market, people that you don't really have rapport with. There's warm market, people that, you're friends with, you've got acquaintances, you're, them on a pretty good basis. And then you've got team members and you've got working members. And so you want to have each one of those areas full because they affect each other. So I would 100% be focusing on the cold market and the engagement and taking time to make those connections and just slowing down enough, and just know that it's going to take some time to convert. And I think for people like me, that can be a little bit more painful because you want to see the quick hit and like the dopamine, and you want to get the quick results. but it takes time to convert that. But I would say if that's where you've identified the gap, 100% focus there, and then keep doing what's working. Because if you've been focusing on the social media, it's not that you take your pedal off of social media, it's that you just incorporate this element to keep the needle moving forward. Did that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's helpful. I mean, it's just when there's so much information coming at you, I'm finding that I'm second guessing myself and like, am I doing what I'm really supposed to be doing? Like, am I doing the most important action? So your explanation helped.
Okay, well, what are you afraid that you're missing? Or
I mean, just being able, well, I guess like that my organization is like, I'm having to slow down so much to reorganize and get all of that, like get all of these pieces in line. That I feel like, oh man, here goes another day when I didn't get, you know, all the IPA numbers that I wanted to get out, or I'm not sending out all of the business messages that I put in my goal tracker on our Excel sheet or in our Google thing. So just being able to manage it all, I just want to make sure that I'm focusing on the things that are going to really make the difference for me.
100%. And Christina nailed it. She in the chat is do your IPA first and then organize what you did not want to do and that you want to do. Here's the thing. One of the phrases that is in my head from Melanie, which is helping me so much, is messy action is more important than perfect inaction. So it's going as you're trying to implement new systems and you're learning and growing. Just says this. She says, growth is uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I feel that to my core because I feel so, I can be uncomfortable and stretching, right? That's okay. So here's how you help that. You make that happen. You schedule in your IPA first. Don't schedule in your organization first. You schedule in your personal business number one. Don't even answer questions from your team. Don't do anything else. Do your personal business first. Your business messages, your IPA.
So with that, when I write it out, that's what I do. Then I'm like, okay, who do I need to send a business message out to? And then I sit. And then I'm like, okay, I need to get organized so that I'm not just wasting my time sitting here. It's like this cycle, this vicious cycle that I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel sometimes.
Okay. Raise your hand if that is relatable, like who in the world to reach out to. Okay. We're on to something, girls. So this is part of messy inaction. Okay. So one of the things and this goes back to what we were talking about with Sheena about creating a list. So I would take your messy inaction and get your messages out. And then later in the day, set aside an hour or however much time to create your list. And one of the things that she had us do in the week 1 of Rockstar Recruiting was to create a list of people that you want to work with and people that are like dream teamers to you. So that is what you work off of for your business messages. And that list can be people on your team currently or prospects. And those are the ones that you're going to send business messages to. And then I have actually started leading with the business 9 times out of 10 because I can always default to the products if they say no to the business. I can't default to the business if they say no to the products, right? So that also helps my business reach outs. But what you're also going to find as you are, and this goes back to incorporating the skill of the cold market, as you're getting to know those people in the cold market, you're going to get to know them and say, oh, this is somebody that I would like to build a business with, or I see has potential. I'm going to put her on my business list so that as you are adding new people to your funnel, your list is going to increase. So let me ask you this. Did you, in part of the was creating that list of dream teamers, were you able to do that?
Mm-hmm. I reached out to all of them already.
Yes, I understand. I totally get it. That first week I sent out like 100 business messages. And this week I'm like, oh, my numbers are a little lower.
Yeah.
So This is again why we continue to add new people, but know that there are ebbs and flows, and now they're going to be engaged in the follow-up process. Christina, do you have anything to add on that?
I have things to add. Okay, so just like you could make a list, like, can y'all hear me okay? I understand I'm in a freaking circus. Okay. So just like you made a list last week, it's okay if you reached out to that whole list, make another list this week, because I guarantee you that 25 people that you wrote on that list last week, that's not the only one in your, thousands of Facebook friends that you think might have potential. So make a new list this week. It probably only took you 30 minutes to make that list. We just overcomplicated in our brain. So as far as the pipeline goes, with like cold market, warm market, current business users, like, here's what I'm doing, because the idea of trying to figure that out first feels like a waste of time in my brain. I know it's not a waste of time. What I'm doing is what I've always been doing. What we've been doing, you guys, is working. Emily, you just said, I've been recruiting 2 to 3 people a month. So what I'm doing is what I've been doing, but then I'm stopping and saying, okay, the work I did today, who out of this work would really be cold market pipeline? And then I'm writing them in over there. And then like, okay, well, here was, I connected with my product user about the business. So I'm going to write them in over here. So I'm doing her work backwards, because what I have to be sure gets done, I'm not willing to slow down my business to master this step-by-step process. It is important to sometimes slow down to speed up, but I'm going to figure out how to do it both. So I'm going to take the action first, because you know what you're doing, Emily. You've been doing this a minute. You've been having results to say, I know what I'm doing. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to analyze backwards. What did I do today? Out of all the work that I did, it's kind of like taking the bowl of vegetable soup that's already finished and then saying, okay, I did the soup. Now, what was in the soup? Oh, I had some carrots that go over here. I had some meat that goes over here. I had some onion that goes over here. So it's like breaking it backwards instead of trying to figure out, where do I start with the soup? I don't even know how to spell soup. What's the ingredients? Where do I find them in the store? Like, no, we're going to have the soup and then we're going to dissect it backwards, if that's helpful in your brain. And if you're finding that you're avoiding your IPA because the how do I put it all together is feeling the most complicated, go do what you've been doing. However you've been finding your contacts. I know for some of us, it's old school, like scroll back in our messenger. If that's what you've been doing, it's not what we're going to keep doing, but it's what we're going to do right now until we can learn how this process works. And then what will happen is, as you start adding new ingredients to the soup, Emily, it's going to be easier to say, that's cold market, that's warm market. Like once you have the soup, you could say, oh, I could add corn here. Corn is cold market. And so as you meet someone new at the fair or someone new at church, the process won't always be scroll back in Messenger. But for now, keep doing what you're doing and then analyze afterward where in the pipeline they go. And then as you meet new people, add them to the pipeline ahead of time, like you would add it to a bowl of soup that's already made, instead of trying to like reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of things Freedom Team has figured out. So sometimes when you take a course or watch another team's training, it's like chew up the meat, spit out the bones. But we just can't get so consumed with having to do it right, because there's not right or wrong. This is just her style, her strategy, her system, and we're going to do it messy, like Michelle said. So is that helpful or not helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Both of you, very helpful. Thank you.
Cool.
And reassuring.
I mean, remember, simple business, talking to new people about Plexus, following up with people about Plexus, teaching others to do the same. Oh, it's 11:44 and we're done in 1 minute. So I don't think there is another, I was thinking we were going to 12, but we're not. So let's keep it simple and messy action. Let's go, friends. And there's probably 10 seconds if anybody wants to say anything in 10 seconds. Okay. Well, you're welcome, Emily. I'm proud of you.
Michelle.
Thank y'all.
All right.
What would you say, Michelle?
Sorry?
to someone who was struggling with maybe comparison, other people are getting joined and it somehow feels like maybe there's less for everyone else. I know you and we've battled that over the years. What would you say to somebody that was like, oh my gosh, does their success mean less for me?
Oh yes, I have felt that deeply. I've struggled with comparison a lot. And number one, does their success mean that there's less for me? Absolutely not. That is just, I'm just going to call it what it is. That's a scarcity mentality. And that's not an abundant mentality. There are 325 million people in America, and only 3% of our population has heard the word plexus. There are plenty of people for me to reach. And just because somebody else is successful in getting the joins and business builders, it is simply a mindset shift. So instead of thinking there's less for me, what if you thought, oh my gosh, if she can do it, I can too. Oh my goodness, I want this to catapult me, because if she's being successful, I can just learn and grow and I can do it too. And that is 100% the truth. Just because somebody else has and is gaining, it really means nothing about what is being taken up. It's just not true that it's taking anything from you. You can go create what she's created by taking the same actions. I've had comparison. I have dealt with, oh my gosh, she's doing this. This must mean that I stink, or I'm less than, or I'm awful. And instead of that, you just, exactly what Christina said, let it inspire you instead of letting it put you down, because it's just a mind game. That's a negative, unintentional thought. And friends, listen, we all have those negative, unintentional thoughts. Are you going to allow that? Because whatever you focus on will grow. So are you going to allow that to take the real estate of your brain? Or will you choose to say, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. I can learn, I can grow, I can do the things. It's just a thought. It's simply a thought, and you get to choose. So it can either be a stumbling block for you or a stepping stone. So I would just encourage you to let it be a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. And that's what I would say. And now I'm going to go heat up my sweet potato and get my high protein tuna and eat before my next call. So love you guys. See you next week.